So good afternoon and happy Kwanzaa. Hamaragani. Today's theme, unity. And we're showing unity within our community here. And like I stated before, one of the reasons why I wanted to host this event was so that everyone here could see this new museum. We consider it one of America's first civil rights museums. And so it tells the story of the stadium, it tells the story of the city, it tells the story for the struggle for civil rights. And it happened here. Paterson played a role in the history of this country. By the way, I want to also acknowledge with us is our officer in charge, Pat Murray. Thank you for joining us, officer in charge. Thank you. That's good. You know him. He was the detective captain not too long. Today we're also not only celebrating Kwanzaa, the first fruits, but we're also going to celebrate our Deputy Mayor, Janet McDaniel, for keeping the spirit of Kwanzaa strong in the city of Paterson, along with the new Family Foundation. So you may applaud for her, please. Yes, okay. I thought, amen, you're usually like that. So at this time, I'm going to defer to our Deputy Mayor, Janet McDaniel. You can applaud for her one more time.
Hamaragani. Sylvia Farrar will do our libation because it's tradition among many African people to start any ceremony with a libation.
I request permission from the elders to begin.
Yes.
Yes. As a libation, we are from Yoruba primarily, and we are from Osera Set. And we are a people from Cameroon all over the African diaspora. So, and it's only fitting that how we found the pine to do the libation, which Heru, the free will of God, was born, and the pine is symbolic of Heru, the king of our. We will say, I'm going to start with the libation from Osera Set. We come in our ancestral name in our prayers, and we give honor to those that opened the way for us to be here on this day, the ones that struggled and fought and educated us, those that suffered the Middle Passage and suffered the slavery and suffered the sufferings of Jim Crow throughout the years. They made their way and struggled and fought that we might be here today with education and grace and peace. We want to say an Echara to Dr. Henry Clark. I like to say an Echara. Dr. Ben. You may say Ashe.
Ashe.
But those that right here in our city that pioneered for us and opened the way, the Bonnie Bragg family, I'm going to say
Ashe.
The if you would like to call a name, you may call a name that we will enter. Reverend Rowe, Ashe.
Ashe. Larry Doby.
Ashe. Kamau Kafani.
Ashe.
Dr. Malana Karenga.
Ashe.
Maya Angelou.
Oh.
Ashe.
Nikki Giovanni.
Ashe. Martin Luther King.
Ashe.
Marty Barnes.
Ashe.
Malcolm X.
Ashe.
Nat Turner.
Ashe.
Chadwick Boseman.
Ashe.
Dr. Frank Napier.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Mary McLeod Bethune.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Doshi Smallwood.
Ashe.
Muhammad Ali.
Rosa Parks.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Huey P. Newton.
Ashe.
Ernestine Hodges.
Ashe.
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X. Ashe.
Dr. Allen Gilmore, right here.
Ashe. Dr. Mary Garner. Ashe.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh,
Yes, recently.
Elaine Harrington, did she?
Yes.
No.
No?
Oh, no, she's
Rewind.
Wesley McCoy.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And all others,
Yes.
known and unknown.
Yes.
Unknown. We say Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe.
Shabbat. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Andre, thank you for honoring me and New Family Foundation. We have a number of people here from New Family. As many of you may know, when I tell the story, I say that New Family started out of the McDaniel home. We originally were having celebrations, just my family, and then we branched out to people like the Moody's, who are considered an extended family. We started calling that the McDaniel Kwanzaa celebration. Eventually, we became incorporated. The Moody's were part of that. My daughter, Christy McDaniel, my granddaughter, who was 2 at the time that we started having these, and we became incorporated. We gave the first citywide Kwanzaa in 2004.
20 years ago.
Yes, 2004. So that was 20 years ago, as you say. We were at Christopher Hope. Some of you were there. It was one night, and it was very joyous. We then went back to meeting at the McDaniel home, and eventually there was a committee called the Kwanzaa Committee, which gave the first citywide Kwanzaa. That committee was not New Family. The base was New Family. My son, Kevin McDaniel, who was ill and not able to be here today, along with a friend of his, started meeting, and we started talking, and we started planning. At first, they wanted to have an organization that was for-profit. But you know, that can be difficult. We moved to a nonprofit. We came up with the name New Family Foundation. I believe the Moody's were part of that actual naming, and that we had 12 people. This 70-plus-year-old brain doesn't allow me to call all 12 of them. But the 5 basics were the McDaniels, my 3 children, my husband, myself, the Moody's, Chief and his beautiful wife, along with several others. And we became incorporated. We became a 501c3 in 2006. By that time, we had Talina Lachelle Queen, who was part of our organization. But going back to the first 7-day event, all of the people who came together for that were people from New Family, with the exception of Quan Hargrove and Talina Lachelle Queen. But we had so many people from the community: Ed Cotton, Ruby Cotton, Linda Galashaw, lots and lots of people who helped us with those first 7 days. We decided we needed an organization. New Family already existed. The next 6 7-day Kwanzaas were given by New Family Foundation. We only stopped during COVID, but during COVID, Reverend Clayton allowed me to come to his church in 2020 to at least put on a celebration. Snow, lots of snow out, no one there except the mayor and his wife, and at that time, I don't know how many children you had.
3, they were all here.
You already had all 3 of them?
One
That
of
was
them.
in 2020, here's one. That was the first, just one day. Two years after that, 21 and 22, we went to City Hall. In 23, we did nothing. So New Family, as far as doing Kwanzaas, is probably in New Jersey, doing Kwanzaas in New Jersey, because we've considered moving to Georgia to do some Kwanzaas. So that's the history of New Family and our Kwanzaa, and a great committee that I want to give credit to for the first 7-day Kwanzaa, which was called the Kwanzaa Committee. most of you who are in this room probably celebrate Kwanzaa, yes? At least people of African heritage. Is there anyone here who doesn't? That's all right, don't disclose that. Let me just say a little bit. You know, when we first started Kwanzaa, having people from the church to come in was something, that was a no-no. Talk about calling names, ancestors, doing whatever kind of chant that was, as Cynthia just said it was. Chief Moody usually did our libation, and that libation was great. It called on things, but a lot of people would not come out, which is why we did it in the home. And I think you called on the brother who always had Kamalu. But it became a holiday, and sometimes when you have things to enter mainstream, they lose a little bit of their originality and intent and purpose. It becomes commercialized. But Kwanzaa is a holiday. And what do we mean by a holiday? What is a holiday? Why do you have a holiday? It's a day of festivity, right? Or recreation. Usually on a holiday, no work is done. Well, Kwanzaa has not made it to that point where mainstream recognizes it, but many of us do recognize it, and we do honor it as a holiday. But why would you have a Kwanzaa celebration? It's a celebration of family. Family first, okay? Family, community, and culture. Now, if we would ask Chief to talk about it, he would give you 7 things that he would talk about, right? Starts with self, help me. Self, family, community, neighborhood, nation.
Self-determination. Then purpose.
Purpose. Those are the principles of Kwanzaa. So there's 7 levels, and they start with self. They go all the way up to nation and race. Now that's what was listed when Malana Karanga started it, but a lot of people shy away from race because after all it's just a social construct, right? But it was about bringing people who had no holiday that celebrated themselves. This is prior to Martin Luther King Day. Okay, so we didn't have holidays, so that was part of the process. So that's why I talked about what holiday is. But it's a time to come together to share common bonds, to feast, give honor to ancestors, persons upon whose shoulders we stand. It came from Swahili. I don't want to bother you with that, but Chief started talking about the principles, and there are 7 principles from the Nguzo Saba, which is a little bit different from just saying Kwanzaa, but Kwanzaa is founded on the Nguzo Saba. And the first principle is somebody?
Unity.
Umoja, which means unity, right? Unity among ourselves. Again, the divisiveness that happened with persons who were brought over to this country, separated from their culture, they didn't know one another. There was little that was known. So Morena, say the name, Morana Karanga,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Wanted us to have some of that. So I'm going to run through these principles real quick because I know the mayor probably has about 10 other things.
No. Take your time.
So the first principle was umoja, unity, coming together. The second is kuji chakalia,
Yes.
which means the right to self-determination, the right to name yourselves, to determine how you are going to be called, to not let others determine what you're going to call yourself. The third is ujima, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our own. Feast on that. Ujama, or again, as Chief oftentimes says, Ujamaa, Swahili, pronouncing all of the letters. Yes. That's cooperative economics. That's something we still need to achieve in terms of ourselves. And that is to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses. Kwanzaa is over 50 years old, and that is still a principle that we have not yet achieved. We have to work on that. Nia, purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community, together with others, but the base is to talk about and think about our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Hu'uma, I won't talk that much about, that's creativity. We know that we as a people have creativity, and even though we're talking about this museum, there's creativity involved when you have a Larry Doby, or when you have people who are not able to enter the mainstream sports, and they determine, Puji Chakalia, to open and maintain their own places. And the last is Imani. Imani meaning faith, but not necessarily a religious faith. It's a faith is the belief in our people, our leaders, our teachers. You know, society told us that we were not good enough, right? And, you know, the ice water, everybody knows the whole little thing about certain ice being colder than others. But we need to have Imani, a faith and belief in our people. If you listen to all those, you started with Umoja, which is unity, and it comes around full circle. The whole point is these principles are principles to live by daily, not on Kwanzaa only. I'm just reading those to you. Many of you already know, some of you don't. We also talk about Sankofa is where you have symbols where you look back but always moving forward. That's remembering your ancestors, remembering and being in the moment, but also planning for the future, Sankofa. We have these rituals of lighting the candles, which we didn't. We will light the Umoja, and we will end this portion of what we're doing. But Kwanzaa is a celebration of African people, who we are, who we were, and who we will become.
Let's have another round of applause for our Deputy Mayor, Janet McDaniel. I want to dovetail on what she said, and thank you for enlightening us. One of the reasons why we wanted to have it here at this museum, because it tells a story, and you were talking about the principles. Many of those principles were embodied on that baseball field, and I don't want anyone to dismiss it as just being sports, because sports played a pivotal role in integrating America. When Jackie Robinson had the courage on April 15, 1947 to put that Brooklyn Dodgers uniform on, there were many people who spat in his face. There were many people who were opposed to him being on the same field with white players. And then Larry Doby did it about 3 months later on July 5th, 1947 in the American League. So I never say that Larry Doby was second. He was first in the American League, whereas Jackie Robinson was first in the National League because they never played each other, unless they go to the World Series, but they never played each other. They still face the same level of hate, the same level of racism. And so I want to tie in the principles. If you're talking about unity, if you're talking about cooperative economics, self-determination, that's Negro League baseball for you. You saw Larry, if you've seen the film, and if you haven't, we'll watch it a little bit later. It's only 8 minutes. Larry Doby's son said we had to be creative. You want to talk about creative. If they're not going to let us play, we're going to create a league of our own. And people need to know the story of the fact that in this country, you had 2 professional baseball leagues, one for whites and one for blacks. And the principles of Kwanzaa, like I stated before, are personified by people like Jackie Robinson, Larry Doby, Cool Papa Bell, Josh Gibson, those players that were not allowed to play at Yankee Stadium or Wrigley Field in Chicago, but they played in Paterson. This stadium is one of only 2 in the country still standing that hosted Negro League games. The other one is in Rickwood, it's Birmingham, Alabama, Rickwood Field. So this is history right here, American history. and how we played a pivotal role in integrating American society. And so that's why when I asked earlier how many of you are here for the first time, I think every hand went up. Because we need to know what's here. My wife and I have been to almost every civil rights museum in the country. Paterson has the newest civil rights museum. It's right here, and we want people to come and see for themselves. Become enlightened, enjoy that what we have here. And yes, it is now operational once again, the stadium, and we pay tribute to our ancestors. And if you look at the banners on the outside, all of those players, they played here. And many of them were not allowed to play in Major League Baseball. But later on, Major League Baseball inducted them into the Hall of Fame because they knew it was injustice. So ultimately, there was a bit of redemption. There's a young man here who is in charge of doing a lot of the social media. He's a Patersonian, Frank Filippelli Jr. He could tell you better. And give him a round of applause. Come on. If you have an opportunity to go into the gift shop, you'll see most of the shirts and some of the paraphernalia made by a young man from Paterson, Frank Filippelli. So this young man, I'm very proud of him and the fact that he's playing a role also here, telling the story. You can't let other people tell your story. You got to tell your story, right? And today we're telling that story, and today we're honoring a young woman, a young lady, who has helped tell the story of Kwanzaa. She's absolutely right. In 2020, when we were all wearing masks, we had to be 6 feet apart, we weren't even thinking about that. Nobody was thinking about anything. Even Christmas at that time was very difficult. But she made a call to me, said, Mayor, we'd like to celebrate. Let's do it at St. Luke. And I brought my whole family, my son, who can't contain his enthusiasm right now. He's excited about Kwanzaa. We want children to be that way. So for that, we have 2 gifts for this young lady, for our young lady here. One from the city. So this is an official citation from the office of the mayor, thanking our deputy mayor, Janet McDaniel, for essentially saying, you've kept the spirit of Kwanzaa strong in the city of Paterson. In light of a once-in-a-century crisis, she saw fit to say that we still need to celebrate the 7 principles. Congratulations. Oh, you have it somewhere. Thank you. And if my wife will come forward for a moment. And my wife brought some Girl Scouts. My wife is a very active mom in the Girl Scouts, and we want the Girl Scouts to learn more about Kwanzaa as well. It's about the next generation. So on behalf of our family, this is from our family, for your family to enjoy, this is a basket. Okay.
Sweet.
It is sweet. There are sweets in there.
Thank you.
We want Janet McDaniel to know that she is appreciated, that she is a cherished member of our community, and we are very thankful for the fact that for many years, she and the New Family Foundation saw fit to enlighten us and inspire us during Kwanzaa.
Thank you both.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's a little heavy.
Ask my son-in-law to come and get it. Son? They're here from Georgia.
All right. No.
Hello.
Good seeing you. Thank you.
How are you? Of course.
Just take it for me. Thank you. Does that
Yes.
conclude?
Yes.
Well, I thank you all for coming out. I thank the mayor and his beautiful wife.
Thank you.
You know, it's great when you can combine 2 things. The mayor wanted to make sure that people had an opportunity to see this great place. He found a way to connect it to our culture. It's already connected to our culture, but then decided, let's also honor New Family Foundation, which to a large extent was spearheaded by Janet McDaniel.
Yes.
I
Don't be too modest now.
Well, I'm the registered agent for the organization, and I'm the one who still keeps it going, even when others are not able to be there. So I do appreciate you. I appreciate both of you. I appreciate your kids and the persons who came out. Thank you. We will enjoy the basket of while my family is here.
Yes.
And
When do they
again,
leave for Georgia? So, make sure.
I think they have 2 days.
So you got 2 days to get to that basket.
Should we light?
Oh, we want to light a candle.
Yes. Also, I would like to acknowledge the gentleman who was instrumental in bringing Hinchliffe Stadium back, our councilman from the 6th Ward, Al Abdulaziz. Thank you for joining us. Frank Philippelli, Jr., where's the detective?
So Dr. Fulmore is another deputy mayor?
Yes.
Okay, you guys come up.
The first principal
This
is
is
Umoja.
the first principal.
Umoja.
Unity.
Let's just say Harambe. Start out with your fingers spread apart, then bring your hand towards your chest as you say Harambe.
Harambe.
And we'll do it in one. You're going to light all 7? No.
just
Okay,
one.
we're not. Okay, so let's do it 7 times. The reason your hands are spread out because we're all apart. But when you come together in a fist and say Harambe, that means let's pull together.
Yes.
And we're going to do it 7 times, I hope. On the 7th time, I want you to hold Harambe as long as you can. Are we ready?
Yes.
Harambe!
Harambe! Harambe! Harambe! Harambe! Harambe! Harambe! I try to do it like Keith Moses. Yes.
That concludes our service, the mayor and McDaniel service.
Yes. Yes.
The Sayegh family. Thank you. And they have some refreshments in the back.
Also, if you've not seen the movie, we will air
Oh, yeah.
whenever you're ready. It's
back
only
row.
8 minutes, and the gift shop is open. You can see some of what Frank Philippelli has put together as well. Thank you.
And the movie is actually in the back room behind us.
And it's a nice movie, so please do try to
She just saw it. Spoiler alert, she saw it. So. Happy Kwanzaa! From Paterson, New Jersey. Yes.